The Pimax Crystal is the latest VR headset from Pimax, and I've spent approximately 40 hours testing it, trying all the features across a range of applications and comparing it to a range of other popular VR headsets. In this Pimax Crystal review, I'll provide a comprehensive look at the headset, sharing all the information you'll need to know to decide if this is the right headset for you. So, does Pimax Crystal live up to the hype? Let's find out. Let's start with the bottom line. The Pimax Crystal is a very impressive VR headset with technical specifications that exceed most competing headsets. It did launch with a number of technical issues, but most of these have now been resolved. The Pimax Crystal is a terrific VR headset for racing and flight simulator enthusiasts and those who demand the best visual quality in a headset, but it does come at a premium price and it does have a number of issues. In terms of setup, it was very simple. There were minimal technical challenges, which I believe is somewhat unique for Pimax headsets that have had issues in the past. There are some features, such as standalone mode, that are still in the very early stages of development, and some features are yet to be fully implemented. However, what Pimax have produced with the Pimax Crystal is really good, and I've been absolutely delighted to use it and test it. So if you must have the best visual quality for your VR headset and you're prepared to pay a premium price and cope with a few rough edges, the Pimax Crystal is a fantastic VR headset. If you're a more casual VR user or are looking for a headset for room scale or standalone experiences, Pimax Crystal is very unlikely to be a good option for you. So the main pros of the Pimax Crystal are it's got terrific visual clarity, it's got excellent display panels, it's got automatic IPD adjustment, it's relatively easy to set up and certainly easier than Pimax headsets have been in the past. It's got very impressive off-ear DMAS headphones, but on the negative side, it's a heavy headset and it's really bulky. It's not particularly comfortable for prolonged use, although this isn't a deal breaker. The controller tracking is definitely in need of improvement, and you really shouldn't be thinking about buying this headset if you're planning to do a lot of high-tempo, room-scale activities that require use of the controllers. The standalone mode is very basic right now. It's really just a beta, and you shouldn't consider buying this headset for the standalone mode. The hardware and software is not as polished as it should be, although it has improved greatly over the last month or two since the headset has been released. In terms of the specifications, what really struck me when I heard about the Pimax Crystal more than a year ago was the impressive list of features and specifications. It's got some of the highest resolution panels on a consumer VR headset, highly impressive display technology, an enviable 35 pixels per degree of peak clarity, automatic IPD adjustment, a reasonable field of view, and the ability to function as both a wired PC VR headset and a standalone headset. So I was certainly very interested in this headset from day one. Tempering my expectations was the fact that Pimax have developed an unfortunate reputation for promising a lot, but struggling to deliver exactly what they planned on the timescale they intended. Once again, the early reviews of Pimax Crystal have been pretty mixed, with some praising the technical achievements, while others bemoaning the fact that some features are not ready or not working as smoothly as originally intended. I reviewed the Pimax Crystal at the start of September 2023, and it's been rolling out to users for a few months now. So my experience has actually been quite positive. A lot of the issues that I thought I would run into, I actually haven't. And some of the features that weren't available at the initial launch now are. So overall, I'm quite pleasantly surprised. In terms of resolution of the panels, it's 2880 by 2880 per eye for a total resolution of 5760 by 2880. This is a good bit better than most of the competing headsets. In terms of pixels per degree, we're coming in at 35, which again is really only rivaled by the Vario Aero, and many of the other competitors are considerably below this. The lenses in the Pimax Crystal are aspheric lenses, so much more bulky than the Fresnel or Pancake lenses in other headsets, and they're also made of glass, which I don't think I've previously tried a VR headset with glass lenses, and I do think this makes a big difference in terms of the visual clarity. The refresh rate can either be 90 or 120, so fairly standard and competitive with other headsets. The field of view at 125 degrees horizontally is slightly better than other competing headsets like the HTC Vive Pro and the Valve Index, a good bit better than the HP Reverb G2. In reality, it doesn't feel that much bigger. It feels a little bit better than standard, but nothing to write home about. The IPD has automatic adjustment, but you can also adjust it manually. It ranges from 58mm up to 72mm, which is quite reasonable and competitive with other headsets. Audio is provided by off-ear speakers. There is an optional upgrade to improved DMAS speakers, and these were the ones that were on the headset that I have been using. I've been very impressed with them generally. It's got triple integrated microphones, and it uses inside-out tracking courtesy of 4 external cameras on the face of the headset. There is an optional lighthouse tracking faceplate that you can get for the Pimax Crystal. It has just been launched, and this allows you to use your external lighthouse tracking stations. Prior to getting the Pimax Crystal, the main headset that I would use for Microsoft Flight Simulator, DCS World, and other simulation games was the HP Reverb G2. And you can just see the difference in the size of them. I mean, the HP Reverb G2 looks tiny in comparison, and it's also an awful lot lighter. Just for way of comparison as well, this is the Pico 4 headset, which again is even smaller than the HP Reverb G2. It also has fantastic lenses, good displays, good resolution, but it works as a standalone headset. But you can also play PC VR content either wirelessly or wired. I use this a lot for PC VR content, not because the visual quality is so good, but because it's so convenient. I can literally turn it on, connect wirelessly to my PC in a matter of seconds and be playing PC VR content so easily. So I think these two headsets represent the two different branches of VR at the minute. We've got the light, comfortable, balanced headsets that are easy to use, relatively inexpensive, and I think that's what a lot of users want. And then we've got headsets like the Pimax Crystal, which really are only going to appeal to PC VR enthusiasts who want the best visual quality, the best resolution, the best lenses, and they're prepared to compromise on the weight, the comfort, the price. This headset is $1,600, which is right at the top end of what you can expect to pay for a PC VR headset. It's slightly cheaper than the Vario Aero, which is it's probably its closest competitor, but it's a lot more expensive than the HP Reverb G2, the HTC Vive Pro, the Valve Index, and pretty much any other headset that you might be considering. In terms of comfort, again, it's fine. I have no major complaints with the comfort of the Pimax Crystal. The face cushion is pretty large. It's made of foam. It feels good against your face. It blocks the majority of the light. There is a rubber nose light excluder as well. These do a good job. And the problem, I think, with the comfort comes because it is unbalanced. You feel the weight on your face, and you also need to fit the headset quite tightly. And the reason for this is if you don't fit it tightly, anytime you move your head side to side, up and down, the headset will move and it'll bump against your cheeks, it'll bump against your nose, and just become a bit uncomfortable over time.
The other reason you need to fit it tightly is these aspheric lenses. Due to the technology, you need to make sure your eyes are positioned in the center of the lenses and that they stay there. And if they do stay there, the visual clarity is fantastic. It's amazing. It's a massive step up from any other VR headset I have tried. But if you don't have the headset set tightly, your head will move and you actually get quite a lot of distortion in your image. But that's just when there's movement of the headset. So I tend to tighten this up quite tightly, tighter than would be ideal for comfort. But I make sure that the visual clarity is there, because that's the way that we want it to be. Anybody who's buying this headset wants good visual clarity, wants good performance, but there is that compromise. The next thing I'm going to talk about actually is the fact that this headset is a PC VR headset, but it actually requires you to have an external battery that you need to charge and you need to have fitted every time you use it, even when the headset's connected to a PC. Now, this kind of seems a bit unusual, and Pimax have received a fair bit of criticism for this decision. Personally, I don't mind too much. It's fine. The batteries last for quite a long time. I change mine every sort of 4, 5, 6 hours, depending on what I'm doing with the headset. Pimax actually supply you with 2 batteries, so you can charge one and use one. And there is actually a hot swap functionality. So the headset itself has a small internal battery, so you can take the discharged battery out, put the new one in while the headset's still running, and you don't need to turn the headset off, go out of your game. It's just a quick, simple procedure to change the battery. The batteries are actually really hard to change though. There are 2 little plastic buttons on either side of the battery, and you need to press these down and apply a fair bit of force to get the battery out. I don't love this. Every time I have to change the battery, it's a battle. It's not fun. It's not that quick. I wish they had a better mechanism for putting the batteries in and out. It's not the end of the world, but they could do better. I suppose next thing I'll have a wee quick chat about is the standalone mode. So this is the first headset from Pimax with a standalone mode. You can flick a switch on the front of the headset to change the headset into all-in-one mode. It will reboot, and you then launch into a separate VR environment. It's not dissimilar from the environment that you will see on the Quest 2 and the Pico 4. The user interface and the way it all works is very, very similar, but it's really bare bones. It works, and it works well, but there's no real content. There's no incentive really to use this mode. I've tried it out. I've tried a few games in it, and it all works well. But if you're thinking about buying this headset to use the standalone mode as anything more than a novelty, just don't bother. Don't bother. It's not ready. It's not ready. Pimax have a lot of work to do to bring this up to a standard that we expect in 2023. The other thing that I'll chat about actually is the controllers. So there's 2 controllers that come with the Pimax Crystal. They are, at first glance, almost identical to the Quest 2 touch controllers. They are made of a similar material. They're substantially lighter, and they've got internal batteries, which I was quite shocked that when I lifted them out of the box when they first arrived, I just assumed that the batteries still needed to go in, but no, the batteries are in there. They're just really light controllers. Build quality is pretty good, and the triggers don't feel wonderful. They're a little bit plasticky and clicky-clacky, but I haven't had any complaints. They work well. I find the tracking performance to be very good, but only when the controllers are in a box in front of you, okay? If the cameras can see your controllers, the tracking is great. I've played Beat Saber, I've played Thrill of the Fight, I've played quite a lot of other reasonably fast-paced, twitchy VR games to test this out, and they work really, really well. Where it all falls down though is whenever you lift the controller behind your head, behind your back, and the tracking is terrible. You reach behind, the tracking's lost. You swing forward, the cameras don't even pick up that you've brought your controller back around the front. You just see nothing. Your hand just doesn't exist. In VR, when you do this, then you need to sort of wave it around to get it working. So, in conclusion, the Pimax Crystal, this is a headset that goes toe-to-toe with the very best PC VR headsets and should be one that you think about getting if you're a simulation enthusiast. It will require a high-end PC, but the visual clarity is amazing. The lenses and displays are great. I think the benefits that I get as a VR simulation enthusiast far outweigh the negatives of this headset. The Pimax Crystal, it's a lot of money, but you do get a lot for your money. It's a little rough around the edges, but there's no deal breakers here. It's a very good headset. I genuinely think if you're the right user, you'd be delighted with it. Just for goodness sake, if you're buying it for the standalone mode, run away. And if you think that you're going to buy this, I think if you were a general VR user who plays some racing games and a bit of flight simulation, but you like to play everything in VR, this is not the headset for you. This one is for a certain audience, but that audience will be delighted. Thanks very much. I hope this has been helpful. All right, guys, take care. Bye.